To preface this video, please understand while this method can absolutely work for way more people than the fitness industry would agree with, it is not for everybody, and for some might not be safe. I'm reserved in saying it, however, that it is extreme because I would be robbing you of the truth, but I suggest you watch the video and decide for yourself if this could work for you, as well as consult your physician regarding any fitness regimen. In this video, I'm going to show you a method of weight loss that would achieve a pound per day weight loss with minimal muscle loss. That works for even the only slightly overweight person. When we are talking about weight loss and realistic fat loss possible in a given time period, we want to be the right combination of optimistic and realistic, otherwise we can mess with our minds and accept failure where there really isn't any. In this video, we are talking about a method of losing weight that is highly effective but right off the bat extremely time consuming, though not if you organize your week, just a little bit. Not rocket science or strict really, just slightly planned. Nothing about this regimen is really even that profound, it really is just a matter of trying a little bit, even if you aren't that motivated. I'm not gonna bullshit you, losing 30 pounds in 30 days is rarely done by people unless they are extremely overweight and have a lot of fat already to lose. But this method will work for someone who is only 175 pounds, but wants to get to a shredded 145. Such was the case with myself. At 175, being slightly muscular, I looked like the average American male, and slightly better if in the right clothes. But my figure in a lean 140 to 148 range, I will look to people as a true and fit 175 pounds. People have told me this multiple times. When you're super fat, results like a pound or more a day are common, but usually only in the beginning. So let's say a 250 dude wanted to lose 30 pounds in 30 days, he could probably do that with 1 hour of exercise a day and a significant change in diet. For a person who is just soft or a little flabby, or just getting a slight gut, it is rare, but it is possible, and this is how. Now, just to want you, this started off as an experiment, and it somewhat worked out by accident. Now, being a former gym rat, my mind and body were fairly used to 1 to 2 hour, and occasionally 3 hour workouts at the very longest. I have been very ripped and stayed that way, eating 6 meals a day, doing 30 to 60 minutes of mixtures of high and low intensity cardio, and between 2 to 4 days of weight training depending on my particular goals at the time. However, in my late 30s I stopped modeling and stripping, and got out of my good consistent gym habits. While I still sorta worked out, sometimes I'd go days or weeks without going to the gym. The intense motivators of sex, and ego blasts from the stripping that fueled my workouts, as well as the pressure to look perfect every weekend on a stage or house party, were all gone. And so was most of my motivation. I said to myself, aha, so this is what the process is like for most people trying to lose weight. I began to see why so many people were out of shape, whereas the self-glorying male stripper that I once was could never understand the big deal people make about getting in shape. I thought, this is in a way a good experience for me if I decide to go into personal training, or fitness counseling. I now had the perspective of most practical people. But I didn't have a way over the mental hump yet. Once I got back into good habits, COVID hit and everyone in America, including myself, stayed at home stuffing their face. I had gotten out of my good habits, and would find myself going back and forth. One day I thought, since I sometimes read while doing cardio, and watch something on the computer, what if I did an even lesser intense version of that and just did it for 6 hours a day? I thought, well, that would take up a bunch of time, however, not as much as you would think 6 hours would. Since I read better while doing very low intensity cardio, I won't lose any reading time. I can watch YouTube or TV just in the same way. As long as the exercise isn't beyond a certain threshold, and as long as I stop every 10 minutes to drink 6 to 8 ounces of water, I technically should be fine. I also employed intermittent fasting, which was mostly ketogenic, with whole eggs being the base of it. However, I often had apples and even some slices of farm fresh bread. The routine is simple. Using either a treadmill, stationary bike, and elliptical. Do 4 sessions a day of 90-minute goes per day at a pace that you could have a conversation or read with, but even slightly easier. You could also do 2 3-hour sessions, or the whole 6 if you like. The time between sessions doesn't fucking matter, and in fact the length doesn't really either. You could do a half hour, then rest a half hour, then do an hour. We're talking about super low intensity exercise here. But, and this is key, you also must hydrate every 10 minutes with 6 to 8 ounces of water. Also start your day by downing 32 ounces of water. At first, you will actually have to pee so often, that even if you didn't stop to drink water every 10 minutes, you'd have to get up to pee. This seems to happen in the beginning until your body adjusts, and gets rid of the excess water you are carrying around. This is an interesting process. Seeing how your body manages water, In my other days of working out, I honestly wasn't superb about staying on top of my water. I would sip several ounces perhaps halfway through my workout or when I was thirsty, and mostly drank before and after the workout. With this method, however, you are dealing with time, the lymphatic system and blood flow, which is why in one way it might be extreme. However, like I said, I really don't want to call it extreme because even though water balancing is something you shouldn't take lightly, the amount of exercise is that equal, but more gentle to that of a physical labor job. Hence, I nicknamed this type of workout, the farmer's workout. Farmers walk most of their day, back and forth through the fields and crops. Then they use their arms together, or move barrels of hay. Most people wouldn't consider farming a hazardous job. And I'm sure a farmer probably at some point also learns to manage his water, and his exertion in different levels of heat, and in different seasons. The same could be true with this. The amount of water I drank and lost in one day was around 16 pounds a day. So it is important to keep track of your preferable every 90 minutes to see what your body is losing water-wise, at certain exertion levels. Your actual body weight should only decrease a pound per day. If you weigh 2 or 3 pounds less than the previous day, drink more than 32 ounces of water in the morning, drinking first the usual 32, and then another 32 over the course of an hour before you start working out. You should also not work out if you are more than a pound lighter than the previous day, until you have pissed, twice. So after your second piss you can start your workout if you woke up unusually light in the morning from lack of water the previous day. You should also have at least 2 bottles of Pedialyte or an electrolyte drink in your house at all times. The first 15 days I used 1 whole bottle of Pedialyte a day plus all the water. Pedialyte has sugar in it but not as much as Gatorade, though now I think there is Gatorade Zero. I used Pedialyte and it did not seem to negatively affect weight loss, though it could be possible that I could have lost more than 15 pounds the first 15 days if I perhaps used Gatorade Zero. Gatorade supplies potassium and sodium, but not chloride or calcium like Pedialyte for adult electrolyte formulas. It wouldn't hurt to have both on hand. Keep the Pedialyte in your place or working out, or take it to the gym with you, as if you have symptoms of electrolyte imbalance like irregular heartbeat or cramping, you should be able to drink it right away. One more point to argue on Pedialyte's behalf is, though I generally prefer staying in ketosis, there have been a handful of times after workouts or during, that my body went into a hypoglycemic state. Once you are hypoglycemic to a high extent, the energy to move is hardly available, and is also accompanied by profuse sweating. If you're lucky like me, after an hour or two with no one around to give me sugar, I just sat and laid on the floor, and waited. It took up to 3 hours one time. Another time, I did have a friend with me, and he got me a Gatorade and in 20 minutes I felt good enough to move again. To this day, I'm not sure if those instances were periods of shifting between burning fat, or burning glucose, or if perhaps it was an accumulated result of dehydration, which can sometimes cause similar symptoms. Or I was having a minor heart attack and didn't know it, but either way. Manage your water perfectly if you decide to use this method. So let's recap. 1. Do 6 super low intensity cardio a day, which may be broken up to your liking. I preferred either 2, 3-hour sessions, or 4, 90-minute sessions. 2. Drink 6 to 8 ounces of water every 10 minutes. Do not fuck this up. 3. Eat 1 large meal a day, mostly protein and fat. My usual was 8 to 10 whole eggs and 2 or 3 apples, and/or a slice of natural buttered bread. Food shop once a week. Pre-cook your food twice a week, say Sundays and Wednesdays. That'd the organization and planning I said you would need. And that's it. Walk on the treadmill slow inclined, is just walking. If you can't walk, then you have problems I can't fix. You could use just the treadmill, or just the bike, or just switch between as you wish. I had the treadmill and the stationary bike, and did this at home. The elliptical is the most efficient fat-burning machine. If I had access to one of those, the weight loss might have even been faster. You might ask, what if I want to lose 30 pounds in a week, but I am somewhat used to working out or even experienced? I'm going to do this but increase the work effort so I get it done in 2 to 3 hours a day. This is probably possible, however, you should be very aware that the risks of the previously mentioned hypoglycemic episodes and/or dehydration problems may be amplified. The concern here is being that the kidneys filter the byproducts of muscle breakdown. The condition known as rhabdomyolysis is something that happens to athletes occasionally or gym-goers who go too hard, for too long, especially if they're not somewhat conditioned. Rhabdomyolysis is where the breakdown of muscle proteins in the blood overwhelm the filtration abilities of the kidneys, which can result in a type of kidney failure. This can be very serious. The beauty of the super low intensity "farmer's workout" As I said, I sometimes call it, is that none of the activity really actually cause any true muscle stress. One thing I will say is, while you might think 6 hours of low intensity exercise would make you tired, the opposite is true, and something I had never really experienced before in my male stripping days of intense 2-hour workouts. I would always scoff at fitness experts that would say, quote, being fit and working out makes you have more energy. I never agreed with it, because even my low intensity exercise at that time was somewhat high enough of intensity to make me tired. I never felt that exercise added to my energy level throughout the day, until I started experimenting with the ultra low intensity approach. The reason for this is, ultra low intensity exercise gets you to burn fat or ketones, just as any other type of exercise, but without the muscle protein breakdown the higher intensity exercise brings. Thus, the kidneys have little to do, as long as you stay hydrated. My physical energy for everything physical became infinite. I realized, there is no such thing as fatigue, or physical tiredness within the vacuum of low intensity exercise. Fatigue from exertion happens from either being terribly out of shape, or from doing high intensity levels of exercise that require your body to want to rest and be still so the kidneys can filtrate. With ultra low intensity, there is none of that. The one really cool thing about this protocol is that nothing seems like a chore anymore. There is no lack of energy when you are burning body fat and not filtering damaged muscle, there is only abundance. Now, this doesn't mean you can't add some resistance exercise like push-ups or sit-ups to tone or regain some muscle mass. The machine called the Total Gym I used every other day, and while I'm not going to say you could build muscle with it, it seemed to help me regain size that I didn't think would be possible with what I consider to be girly weight. My usually weightlifting involves poundages that I generally see can achieve greater than 12 to 15 reps. On the Total Gym, you might get 30 and very quickly, like within 2 weeks you're doing 50 and beyond. I don't want to get off on a tangent about the Total Gym by Chuck Norris, I will save that for another video. But my point is, the energy perpetuation of low intensity exercise, while seemingly thought of as for women or weaklings, is quite empowering. Yes, it's simple. Yes, it's easy. Yes, it's kinda boring. But, it's not as boring as not having the body you want, and the rapid weight loss might be just what you need to propel you into being motivated about how your body looks, to adopt a more normal and lifestyle workout. You might say, if Brandon can do that, he works from home on his computer. This is true that some people's schedules can't handle this, hence it is not for everyone, as I said. But just for argument's sake, let's say that you got home at 6 from your job and got to the gym at 7, and stayed 3 hours with the same work effort. You would still lose 15 pounds in the month, and after 2 months 30 pounds, and all you have to do is walk and drink or pedal and drink, and not even that hard. You can read while you do it, or even, as some gyms have their own TVs on each piece of equipment, it just depends. This routine is accomplished while having an all-time low motivational level. This can be done by anyone. I lost 30 pounds in a month, at age 40, just trying a little bit. To preface this video, please understand, while this method can absolutely work for way more people than the fitness industry would agree with, it is not for everybody, and for some might not be safe. I'm reserved in saying it, however, that it is extreme, because I would be robbing you of the truth, but I suggest you watch the video and decide for yourself if this could work for you, as well as consult your physician regarding it.